So I call that the fraud factor. You know, when you're not doing what you tell everybody else to do, it begins to feel a little bit of a fraudulent thing, unless you're totally, sociopathic or psychopathic, where that's cool for you to tell other people to do things that you're not going to do because you're above that. And again, like I said, when you look at like my dear friend, as I would say, Tony Robbins, his life really started to change and his career exploded when he got outside help in a different way. When he started talking to the venture capitalists and I think it was Chet Holmes, and that he developed business mastery and everything started to change. Then his obviously, now I think he's almost a billionaire, but he's way up there, several $100 million. And again, I always stress that doesn't come from self-development. Yes, he does do the groups, he do his thing with 10,000 people, and his business masteries and stuff with several thousand people. But, he runs multi-million-dollar companies. He got into a different mindset, changed everything and how he did. And he even talks about how it flips back to his coaching, to his trainings, to what he's doing. So what I want you to think about, is this fraudulent factor. If you're a coach, if you're a hypnotist and you don't have a hypnotist, if you're an NLPer and you don't have an NLPer, what's that say to the outside world? Now, when I say that, I know somebody's going to say, okay, smart ass. Who's your coach? Well, I have a couple of different ones. In fact, I'm taking some advice from one of my people. Right after I finish this and it gets uploaded, I'm going to take some time off. I'll be out of touch for most people. I'm taking a long drive. I'm driving up. Well, part of it I have to do a favor and do something, but it's going to make me take some time that I've been meaning to take for a long, long time. I have some courses I want to finish on neurobiology and neuroplasticity, the real stuff. One course from MIT and some other stuff. So I want to finish that, and I want to think about some of the things I did. And a coach told me, well, you need to get away because as long as you're home, you're always going to do what you always did, and you get stuck in these loops. Hey, everybody, I can't see the sign from here. Donna and a few others. Say hi. If you like this, click like and share. If you're watching on my e-zine, click the like on YouTube. So I'm going to take this time for me as I'm driving. I'm going to listen to the courses. I'm going to take some time. I'm going to rethink and, hopefully get reinvigorated. I'm also, while I'm up where I'm going to be, I'm going to go and hang out with a master martial arts teacher and take some training, get back into that, right? Because again, I'm a third degree black belt in another style, second degree in another, and pretty much a black belt in one other. I mean, I love it, but have I trained much lately? No. Why? Unless you're getting outside feedback, it's not the same. Yes, and I've taught classes. I never had my own dojo, never wanted that, but I've helped teach classes when I was hanging around a lot. And then I get away from it. So I need to get back, immersed in it and do that. So what's the best way? I'm going to go up and hang out with a guy, and his whole gym is full of professional MMA fighters. So they happily choke you out or do whatever we're going to do. And then I'm going to go back to my one of my original senseis and take some classes, get back into it. I got my gi packed. I'm excited. I'm motivated. I need to do this for me. And I'm following the advice of my coaches. You can't coach yourself, right? Physician heal thyself, as people, hey, Miss Barrow, as people know, if you're coaching yourself, you're coaching an idiot. Because you can't think the thought and be the thinker. There's no outside feedback. There's, as my other friend Scott McFall would say, you need some kind of outside feedback because they're just looking at you slightly differently. And one of my coaches that I talked to in the business world said, you're so stuck in what you're doing, you're not looking at everything around you. So that's why I'm going to do what I'm doing. So yes, I need to get away from this because, again, you get that cognitive dissonance. You can't sell coaching if you're not being coached. You may be an elite, but maybe you need to go get coaching in a different area. Maybe you just need general coaching. I was just at a couple of conferences, the National Guild and HypnoThoughts, and I went into several classes, and some of them were very, somebody said, I'm surprised you're in this class. And I go, why? They go, well, you're supposedly an expert at NLP. Of course, I always say expert is an X and a spurt is a drip under pressure. So an expert is a drip under pressure. But I'm like, yeah, but maybe I'll learn something. They have a different viewpoint. They have a different take, right? And I'm like, whoa, I never thought of that. And there's several of those eye-opening things. Our Beryl could attest to that, and a couple other people on the call could say on the Facebook, not on this, could say, yes, that's true. And also I see the enthusiasm with people that are just getting into the field and this and that. And honestly, if they're doing it for over 30 years, it's not that you're burned out. It's just that you get a little bit, I like the term hardened. And I need something to relight the fire. It's like, I've been married for a long, long time. And, people talk about long-term relationships. They cool. You're very comfortable with your partner, but sometimes the relationship cools. You need something to reignite it. And so that's what I call the fraud factor. And when you start feeling that, your clients subconsciously pick up on it, right? So, I always say there's nothing worse than a fat chain smoking hypnotist, but we see a lot of them. And it's not that we can't be human and have things in our own lives. It's just that, are you working on them? And if so, are you getting some outside feedback? Are you getting some outside feedback? And so that's, one of my passions. It's what I do. And so I wanted to talk about that. Last week, I think it was, I did, it's called the hurricane technique. And, it's for reinventing yourself and basically creating a new self-image where you use I use the imagery of a hurricane with a different spin on a Richard Bandler technique. And if you've ever been through an area where a hurricane or a typhoon comes in, they keep talking about it changes the landscape. It changes the landscape, it does. And then someone asked me, yeah, but what if I don't want to totally reinvent my self-image? There's little parts of it, like maybe a certain addiction, maybe certain things like that. And I'm like, good question, made me think. And because I was coaching them, I coached several people. And I'm like, well, the hurricane is too broad. So what if we do, and I've seen this happen, and anyone here in the States has seen it in other parts of the world, where a tornado hits and literally rip out the house next door and not even take a shingle off the house you're in, right? Or just rip this area up and leave this area alone. So what if we do the same technique and we spin it for one thing? So it's more like a tornado. It's just going to touch down, rip out what the part we need to rip out, and take it away. And then you can, and so you're not changing the entire landscape. You're only changing part of the landscape. And so, I'm going to do that for for my group, my e-zine group. I'll call it the tornado technique in a moment, about ripping out one little specific thing and then replacing it with something new. But for everyone else, again, this is the fraud factor. You want to watch that. So are you being coached? Are you doing this? I've got my coaches, like I say, I'm going to jump in and actually follow the advice of one of my coaches and take this time to rethink of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and have some fun with that. So I encourage you to do it. And one of the things I'm doing, when I come back, I'll probably start in the middle of October. I pushed it back a few weeks because I'm learning all this really new cool stuff on, hey Donna, on neurobiology and neuroplasticity and the neurochemical pathways and all the stuff going on. So it's changed how I'm approaching things. So I'm going to add that to my NLP Elite Performance, which is life coaching. So I have a special on that if anybody's interested. If you want to jump in and really reinvent yourself, get motivated, get some outside feedback. Maybe it's a huge thing, maybe it's a small thing, but check the link below on Facebook. Check the link here on my e-zine, and it's half price. And you'll get one totally private coaching session if you want it, which is worth the price of what you'll pay for the course. And then we'll do the, it looks like it's going to be a 6 week, once a week course on this, where it'll be general coaching calls. We'll customize it somewhat, but you'll get a private call if you choose to take it and have some fun with it. And so click on the link, go check it out. We're going to have some fun with it. It's called Elite Performance NLP. And again, when you look at the elite performers in sports and everything else, and also in acting, I always tell people about acting because you know, and that's my other career. I won't say hobby, or my other career. It's not unusual to be in a class with. I've been in many classes the last couple of years where everyone in the room is a working actor. Right? I act, but I wouldn't just. That's all these people do is they act. I mean, they act in movies and TV and commercials. And so you look around the room and there's a few faces you see, and some people go. I was telling that to someone. They go, "Well, why would these people be in a class? Because they want to get better." And in fact, I know in New York and LA, if you're auditioning, one of the things that they'll ask you is not just who you've studied with in the past, you know, the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, you know, the actor studio. Where are you training now? They want to know because it's a continuous process. And if you're not moving forward, you're going to fall backwards, right? Hey, Steve. Uh, so, and Jason. So, you know, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. And even in an art like acting, where you know, and I knew someone that they were taking a drop-in class in New York, and they were surprised to see a huge name. You know, let's just say he's been in the Godfather films and all this other stuff, and he's in the, you know, that's his thing. He likes the actor studio. He likes this. This person got invited to do a short thing, and there's this person just working on their craft. When was the last time you just worked on your craft? And not because you're working on it when you're working with other people, but that's different than working on it for yourself. It's like when you hear, I remember Peyton Manning, before he retired, talked about he always took a week, went back and worked with a guy that worked on his fundamentals because he needed an outside eye, right? Of course, he had his father who was a, you know, all-pro quarterback, his brother, all this, but he went somewhere else, got some different feedback, and it really obviously helped him. He holds the record for most yards. And so you've heard this from other people. So if you're excited as I am and you really want to change and grow, sign up. Bring a problem, let's fix it. Maybe we'll do a hurricane where we redo the whole landscape. Maybe we'll do a tornado where it's only a little part of it, right? But let's have some fun with it. And I look forward to seeing you as we trudge the road to happy destiny. I'm going to say goodbye to Facebook right now, and then I'm going to finish on my e-zine thing. If you're not on my e-zine list, make sure you go to nfnlp.com and sign up for it. So have some fun, and we'll see you soon. Good. So, and again, I'm trying this new kind of marketing where I do the Facebook Live as I'm recording here, and then cut off the Facebook Live, and then go and do something a little bit special for your group. So you might want to try that if you're doing this. And again, I was talking about the fraud factor, and I think we all can fall prey to that. It's like the paradox of knowledge a little bit more, where you start feeling even, you know, like I should fix this problem in my own life. Right? And so, you know, last time we did the hurricane technique. You can go look that up. I'll put the link in at the very bottom, where it's like, let's get a new self-image. And I'm really studying that big time from a neurobiological standpoint. But what if it's a specific problem, right? What if it's a specific problem? And let's say you've tried some other things. You know, you've done a visual squash, maybe you've done or a different kind of collapsing anchors, maybe you did a swish pattern, maybe you do this, and this problem keeps coming back, right? So it's a specific thing. It doesn't bother everything else. You know, you don't necessarily maybe want to reinvent every damn aspect of your life, but this one thing. So let's do what I call the tornado technique. It's based on the hurricane technique, but it's more specific. Again, when a hurricane comes through an area, as unfortunately we've just seen in North Carolina and South Carolina, it redoes the landscape, right? With the flooding and this, it just redoes the landscape. We've seen it here in Florida several times. I've lived through it several times. So, but this isn't that big of a thing where you're going to redo your self-image by creating a new self-image. We're just going to take out one little spot. And so we're going to call it the tornado. And you always see pictures where a tornado hits and it'll rip up 1 or 2, 3 houses right here, or section of woods. And then right next door, nothing. Right? Fascinating. How does that work? Well, it works in a slightly different way, right? Because it goes in, rips it out. That's what, you know, the tornado is very intense, where a hurricane's more global. And again, everyone here on this call is intelligent, articulate, and brilliant enough to know that obviously if you've had someone that's been negatively impacted to the nth degree by a tornado or hurricane, you don't want an ab reaction when you start doing it, but why not use it for its good? And again, I remember a few years ago when a hurricane came through and people were actually out. Yes, it was damaging, but at the same time, it rejuvenated like the Everglades, brought in fresh water, cleaned some stuff out. So let's look at it that way. And what about this? So let's pick a thing. If there's one little thing, if not, just play with me. There's one little thing we could rip out. I'm going to use biting fingernails. Let's use that. So let's say you've done the visual squash. Maybe it worked for a little while, faded back. Maybe you've done the swish pattern. See it, whoosh, there's the ideal. So works for a little while, goes back. So here's what I want you to do. We'll use this. You could use like chocolate. I don't have chocolate in front of me. I meant to grab one. Let's say it's like Hershey's Kisses. Because I was Dan LaRosa just reminded me that it was like 20-something years ago we did a technique, ripped out his candy bars, and all these years later he still doesn't eat candy bars. But I'm going to use biting fingernails, but you could use like specific chocolate, maybe smoking. Try it for smoking. And then I'll break it down. So you're going to get the image. Okay, there's the image of like biting your fingernails. Kind of like we're setting up a swish pattern. But instead of that, now find the feeling of biting your fingernails. Where is it? Right? As you find that feeling of the fingernails or the chocolate we're working on, reach in and pull it out and then look at it. It'll take a color, a shape, a sound, and it's probably moving in one direction. Maybe a circle, maybe a whatever it is, it's moving in a direction. So kind of look at it. Now, what I want you to do is with the other hand, as you're looking at it, reach in and make sure you get all of it, because some of this stuff has a tendency to hide, maybe behind your cerebellum, maybe deep in your corpus callosum, maybe down in your liver. Rip it all out. So there it is. There's, this biting your fingernails. There's this problem. Now I want you to realize that maybe at one moment in time, this problem did well, right? This problem did something good for you. Right? Relieve stress, whatever it was, right? We're not going to take away its ability to help you do that. We're just going to take away because now it's no longer good. Like when you were a little kid, you used to believe in Santa Claus. Now you don't. You can let it go. So look at that, right? And thank it for what it's done and realize we're just going to take this part out, leave all the good things. So now as that happens, kind of look at it. Now notice the way it's moving and then begin to spin it in the opposite direction and spin it faster and faster and faster till it's like a little tornado, a tiny little tornado. You can imagine a little tiny tornado, there it is, spinning, and then slam it into your top. I did it in my forehead and here because that's where I thought the biting your fingernails. Boom, I slam it in and realize it's going to rip out, right? Rip out. Right? And replace it with a positive. It's going to keep all the positive. It just remove the actual behavior of biting your fingernails, right? And you'll find new and interesting ways because you're a brilliant, articulate human being with the ability to make changes beyond your wildest expectation. So begin to just do that now. Good. Now, if you were following along, again, using the same kind of technology or idea, it's the old Richard Bandler spinning technique. You pull it out and you negotiate with it. Make sure you go in and grab all the residuals, put it out there, right? Negotiate and realize it started for some higher good. And you're not going to take away the positive intent. You're only taking away the negative. And then as it happens, now you spin it the opposite way. Spin it the opposite way and turn it into it doesn't matter which way it's going. You just go the opposite. And spin it. It becomes a tornado, and then slam it back in and let it work through you. And see how that works for you. So that's the tornado technique. And again, we're doing the NLP Life Coaching. Probably going to start in the middle of October, but you can sign up now. The link will be below and have some fun with it. And I'll see you as we trudge the road to happy destiny.